Good evening, and welcome to the February 13th meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners. The time is 7:02, and first order of business is salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we going into executive session now? Okay. All right. Could I have a motion to go into executive session for purposes of
So be
discussion
it.
of legal items and personnel items?
I make the motion.
All in favor?
So moved.
Okay. Okay, an executive session.
7:20.
Okay, the time is 7:25, and we're returning to the public portion of the meeting. Okay. Motion to go back into public session?
I'll make the motion, go back in public session.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, so be it resolved that, for the option of minutes, recommended action. Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to adopt the following meeting minutes. January 7th, 2025, the reorganization meeting. January 16th, 2025, a regular meeting. And February 6th, 2025, a special meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You get a second?
I'll second it.
Do you mind, Commissioners, if I could call the roll? And sorry, I know. for
Okay.
formalities, yes,
Wanna do
sorry.
that?
Okay, so I got a second, and so I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski?
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie?
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo?
I'll say aye to January 7th and January 16th. I have to abstain from February 6th. I wasn't there.
And then Commissioner Randallone?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, so now the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so tonight, for closing out 2024, we think we should have our final financial statements at this point in time. Most of our invoices have come in for 2024, and so I'll be recommending budget transfers tonight to kind of close out our year so we can create our trial balance and get our records over to our auditors, who will be beginning our year-end audit we've started working with them already, but they'll be conducting the audit in March. So as I mentioned at last month's meeting, we ended the year with a net budget surplus of approximately $300,000. We did have Treasury direct earnings just exceeding about $400,000, so that was contributing to the surplus that we had for last year. But as I mentioned, typically at the end of the year, there are certain accounts where the expenditures exceeded the amount budgeted for the line item. So here I have recommendations for the account transfers. So I will read them, and then the board wants to make a motion to accept those transfers. Okay. So we're from other miscellaneous expenses to outside services, an amount of $5,080.46. From other miscellaneous expenses to payroll processing expense, an amount of $200.62. This is going to hoses and nozzles, the amount of $9,575 from workers' compensation, the amount of $10,200 from fire lieutenant salary, and the amount of $642.94 from sewer tax. From shop equipment and tools to tires, the amount of $146.45. From radio equipment and maintenance to fuel and electric, an amount of $52,710.22. From gasoline, oil, and grease to computer, software, and internet, the amount of $6,862.81. From education and travel to association dues, an amount of $786.47. From EMS supplies and services to elections and referendums, an amount of $4,083.81. A whole other page. From other miscellaneous expenses to ladder and pump testing, an amount of $1,416.20. Then going to building, property repairs, and maintenance, an amount of $8,870 from disabled fireman salary, an amount of $16,000 from uniforms, and an amount of $4,372.06 from recruitment. From fire captain salary to assistant fire chief salary, an amount of $15,317.60. From mechanics salary to maintenance worker salary, an amount of $190.20. From consultant fees, engineers, we have $500 going to audit fees. We have $1,500 going to consultant fees, and $3,724.63 going to labor consultants. Okay, then the next batch is all going to overtime firefighters. From New York State Retirement, an amount of $95,000. From overtime training, an amount of $59,000. From overtime sick incentive, an amount of $48,000. Holiday pay, $22,000. Certiorari claims, $48,000. Telephone, $40,000. Coats, boots, and helmets, $24,000. Professional consultant fees, $29,000. Hospital, $32,000. And physician medical costs, an amount of $11,933.56. From fire captain salary to overtime chiefs, the amount of $6,473.63. From fire captain salary to overtime fire prevention, an amount of $5,137.60. From life insurance local 916 to optical plan local 916, an amount of $1,000. From payroll tax MTA to vehicle maintenance, an amount of $1,093.66. So if a commissioner wants to make a motion to accept those budget transfers,
I'll make the motion.
So moved.
Second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
okay. And then the next motion related to the 2024 year end would be a motion to amend the 2024 budget to increase revenue by $143,635.69 and correspondingly increase the following expenses. Terminal leave for the amount of $60,449.66. Social Security for the amount of $38,131.51. And uniformed firefighter salary for the amount of $45,054.52. If a commissioner would like to make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Second?
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Laurie.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay. Just other items for tonight, as I mentioned earlier, we have begun providing records to our auditors in anticipation of our year-end audit and filing our annual financial report with the state. Our auditors are planning to conduct their review around the week of March 10th. I forwarded the board a copy of just the planning letter, which lays out the steps for the audit. Same as usual, we're working with the same audit team and, expect that should go smoothly. Two other items. One is that we have our property and casualty insurance renewal coming up. Our renewal date is April 1st. So the chief and I met today with our broker, Arthur J. Gallagher, to review a quote we have received from McNeil, who's our current carrier. The increase that they're anticipating is approximately 18%. We're looking at a amount of about $196,000, which was anticipated, based on some of our experience and also just the increases that we've been seeing across the board in insurance. It is budgeted for. We did take this into account when we did our 2025 budget. We actually anticipated a higher increase, so there will, be plenty of money in the budget to cover it. Our long-term loss history is taken into account. We have been with McNeil for a long time now, and, so far, we've had good service from them. And again, we anticipated the increase might have even been a little bit higher. So I think, that was somewhat good news, even though 18% sounds like a lot. We typically go out to market every 3 years. So the last time we went out to market was in 2023. There's typically only one other provider that is interested in bidding, but like I said, we didn't go out this year. It wasn't one of the years that we had planned to. And the only other thing I would say was that we typically pay in installments. When we spoke to the brokers this morning, there was a note about the insurance company potentially starting to charge for paying in installments. So if that is the case, I think we should consider, just changing it to a lump sum, which is the way that's how we pay for workers' comp, that's how we pay for New York State retirement. In those scenarios, you get a little bit of a discount. This was always just, they let us pay in installments, so we did, but if they are gonna start charging us for that, that might, be something that we wanna consider, because it's not technically necessary. But we don't have the proposal yet. It sounded like from our brokers that we should have it, probably within the week or so.
I think a week or two.
Yeah, which I think, hopefully would give the board enough time to take a look at it. You'd have to vote on it at the March meeting. And then, I think, that's it on the insurance, unless there's any questions. Okay. And then just one other item I had for tonight. It's not included in the warrant, but we did receive a certiorari claim. We were contacted by the town of Eastchester. It just seems like there was a paperwork misunderstanding that it was never actually provided to us, but it goes back from the summer. So I was just hoping that the board can make a resolution to pay this one as well. I had provided it earlier. It's just a certiorari claim for 3 River Street in the amount of $7,714.11. If the board would make a motion to pay that as well, separate from the warrant.
That locations is the Fountains at Riverview, the old nursing home, or the nursing
Yeah.
home, right there. So it's 3 Bronx Street, but
Right.
the entrance, you usually come in off
Right.
Scarsdale Road. So that's, they got a tax reduction, so we have to give back part of our taxes.
Okay, I just
for-
wanted to know what
For
was.
2 years, right, 2023 and 2024.
Okay.
Where is that in the,
It's not in there. It was kind of a last minute
Okay.
today, so.
just mention it at the end or whatever?
Yeah,
Or-
or if you want to do it right now, just make the motion to pay the
Okay.
certiorari claim in the amount of $7,714.
If you have you want to just you read the motion, and then they can make the motion?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. So, motion to pay the certiorari request for 3 River Street in the amount of $7,714.11.
I'll make the motion, Commissioner Brown.
Okay,
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Randalone.
aye,
Motion carried.
Okay.
great.
Jamie, do the board have to vote on the workers' comp since they agreed to a 2-year deal? Or do we just pay that when it comes up in June or July?
You'd only have to vote if the board wanted to get out of
Not
the agreement.
continue? Yeah.
I don't believe you'd have to. I mean, once we have the information, so our workers' comp renewal comes up July 1st. But last year, when we renewed with PERMA, we did renew again into a 2-year agreement. So when we get that information from them, really the only differences should be there's assessment fees each year that they estimate. And it will be based on what our experience rating has been. They would have given us a high range and a low range. So once we have that information, we'll certainly present it to the board, but you'll just vote to pay it, as you would with any kind of warrant, unless there was some desire from the board to, terminate the agreement, which
And if they don't have a contract settled, being that part of the fee is based on salary, do they retroactively take it once the contract is settled?
They do audit us. So yes, we do, because when we go out for workers' comp, we give them what we estimate our salary will be for the period of time, because that's what it's based off of. And then at the end of the plan year, they do come in and do an audit. So yes, if your salaries were significantly higher than what you had estimated and what your rate, what your cost was based on, you could have an additional payment that's due. Now, when you're in a 2-year agreement, they still audit you, but they said that I'm not sure that they're able to change it. I think that is part of the benefit of a 2-year agreement, but I would have to look into that a little further.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, thank you, Jamie.
Sure.
Okay, Chief's report?
Thank you, Commissioner. Good evening, everyone. A monthly activity report for January 2025. Total alarm activity is 359 incidents. 4 were fire-related, EMS or rescue, 219, and mutual aid was given to the city of Mount Vernon 1 time. The 5 probationary firefighters graduated the Career Academy on January 24th. They worked a week of orientation training and are now in their assigned groups working on an engine with a lieutenant. Good luck to the 5 new members on having a long, healthy career. Vehicle and equipment maintenance is being done in-house as much as possible by part-time mechanic Hank Henninger. Hank's mechanics report for January, and Tim Dalton's maintenance report for January was emailed to the board today. Fire prevention and code enforcement activities continue with numerous plan reviews and inspections, and the fire prevention report was emailed to the board on February 7th. Currently, there are 2 members out on long-term absence. 1 member is on administrative leave, and 1 member is assigned to light duty and is working with ESONG on digitizing the fire prevention's records. I request the board's authorization to purchase a 2025 Chevy Express 12-passenger van from Denoyer Chevrolet in Albany, New York, for $52,675, piggybacking off the Monroe County bid BP 0310-24 pricing. Funds for this vehicle were included in the 2025 budget. I asked the board to hold a promotional and award ceremony prior to the meeting on April 10th. The last ceremony we held was on May 11th, 2023, and we've had numerous EMS saves and babies born. I request the board's authorization for the district to host up to 6 high school seniors for the WISE and internship programs during the months of May and June. I already have 2 requests from Eastchester High School and 1 from Tuckahoe High School. I also request the board's authorization for ESONG and I to attend the Association of Fire Districts of the State of New York mini summit on March 28th at the Sonesta Hotel in White Plains. The cost is $200 per person, and there are many relevant topics on the agenda. Next, I request the board's authorization to purchase 16 new email licenses from Onyx with the @eastchesternyfd.gov domain name, so all the EFD emails will be more trusted by the public. The cost for each license is $162 per year per email, or an additional $2,592 per year. Westchester County and the town of Eastchester changed to the .gov domain emails last year. ESONG and I investigated migrating our emails from Google Suite to Microsoft Office 365, which is the software the town uses. But the cost to migrate all the old emails and information was over $24,000. So purchasing the new email licenses from Google Suite is the most cost-effective way to set up the .gov domain emails. And I believe that people will, with all the people trying to scam people out there through text messages and emails and stuff, if they see an email coming from .gov, they know that's a verified government agency. That's the only way you can get it, .gov. So I would recommend moving forward with it. So if anybody has any questions, we can go over it. And finally, over the last week, FDNY has responded to 2 fatal fires where cars were parked blocking fire hydrants. When a fire occurs, seconds can matter. I ask the residents not to block the fire hydrants, even if you are just going into a business for a few minutes. I do see it on Pondfield Road. They blocked the hydrant by the Value Drugstore and other hydrants, you know, they just want to run in and grab something real quick. They're just picking up their dinner. But if we have a fire during those 2 or 3 minutes and we can't, you know, get to the hose is connected to the hydrants, it could, you know, it could change the outcome. And also, one of the fires in the city, they believe was caused by a space heater that was too close to combustibles like bedding or blankets or something. So in these colder months, please be very careful with your portable heaters, space heaters. Make sure they're not too close to anything that could catch on fire. And don't plug them into power strips because they're not rated to handle the excessive amperage of a space heater or an air conditioner. Plug it directly into the wall outlet. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Chief.
Chief, quick question. What's
Sure.
the van used for again?
So it's going to be for transporting people, for training, for fires, and, you know, like when the probies are in the academy, right now Westchester doesn't have any working burn props, so they have to go to Dutchess County or other locations, and they have to, you know, 5 students with all their equipment. We have to give them 2 or 3 cars. So the van would be for personnel movement and equipment movement.
It's not really used that often, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll use it more if we have it, you know, and it's to replace, we have 3 vehicles that are from 2007 and are, you know, have, you know, airbag lights on, and we don't want to spend the money to get them fixed, so, you know, they're due to be replaced. So this was, instead of getting like another Tahoe type vehicle, let's get the van. We can fit more people and equipment in it. If we have flooding, you know, we can throw pumps in there and send somebody out with hoses and pumps. You know, things like that. You know, it can be used for more than just, you know, shuttling people around. It can be used for responding as well if needed.
Okay, thanks.
According to
Commissioner Sarasi.
Commissioner Sarasi, he's watching the meeting, but he says we lost the audio or video.
The visual,
We lost the video.
Uh-oh.
You can only hear it.
yeah.
Gary, do you know if it's going out okay? What's that? Okay. If it's not going out, will it still record it locally? So when it goes on the YouTube, it'll come out with sound.
Okay.
You know, Gary usually gets it to us within a day or 2, so the meeting will be broadcast on YouTube if there is a problem.
Okay. All right, so we got that. Chief report, Secretary?
Okay, Commissioners, my monthly report for February. First, community outreach on our social media platforms. We had 5 posts. Continued work on community forums, including an After the Fire pamphlet project for our website. And then I still have on the docket a Spanish version for the resident safety and lithium-ion battery safety pamphlet. For our website, continuing work for updates and review of social media records. Our FOIL activity in January, we received 4 FOIL requests. Regarding records for 2025, I'm going to schedule most likely in March or April when it's warmer for our records destruction at Station 3 for any obsolete records. So we might have a recycle day, just letting everyone know if that's the case. We'll have that there at Station 3 as I do try to promote it with the community as well, letting it know the truck is there. For ongoing projects for digitizing, as the chief had mentioned, continuing to organize loose records in our scanning project, and of course, continuing the onboarding process for our probationary firefighters in the office and regular tasks as needed. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. That covers business office recommendations also, right? Business office
Oh, yes,
recommendations?
for the next section there, for payment of bills.
Okay, all right. All right, so then we're up to payment of bills. Recommended action. Be it resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners approves to pay the bills and vouchers as presented. The board has been supplied with 1 set of bills and 1 credit card bill. Chief Tween has reviewed all prior to the meeting except certiorari claims and those specifically marked as reviewed by the treasurer. The treasurer has requested the board approve the following. Warrant 1 dated February 13th, 2025, $176,463.25.
45.
Yeah, 45 cents.
You said 25.
Sorry. Credit card bill dated February 18th, 2025, for $2,559.89, for a total of $179,023.34.
I make a motion, we pay the bills.
Okay,
Make a second.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye,
Motion carried.
okay.
Just so you're aware, the assistant chief texted me, the video is not working, the audio is still going out.
Oh, okay. Budget transfers, we have to,
No, we did already.
okay, done, okay.
We also have to do the chief pieces here when we get a chance. We have to authorize the chief to purchase the vehicle.
Oh, yes.
Oh, so
I'm
there's
sorry.
resolutions on a page that are specific language for the chief's requests. So it's not on the detailed agenda. There's a page, if you keep flipping through in your folder, Commissioner Ranalone.
Is the,
It's just a single page by itself.
Yeah, it's a single page.
I didn't get that one.
Oh, yeah, sorry, that we had two copies, but I couldn't find this here. Did you bring your copy?
I
back
did
there?
with the
Yeah,
typo.
The type, the type, that's right. Should be a bit further, you could pass the treasurer report.
Here you go.
There you go. Thank you. It's just cleaned up for
Okay,
specific to the resolution, but it's the same thing as what his report says.
okay. I say, so be resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners approves the promotional and award ceremony be held prior to the meeting on April 10th, 2025. Is everyone-
Yeah, let's make a motion, and we'll do a second, yeah.
I second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Tween and Secretary Marissa Esong Smith to attend the Association of Fire Districts of the State of New York mini-summit on March 28th at the Sonesta Hotel in White Plains. The cost is $200 per person.
I make the motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay, be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes the purchase of a Chevy Express 12-passenger van from Denoyer Chevrolet in Albany, New York for $52,675, piggybacking off of the Monroe County bid of BP 0310-24 pricing. Funds for this vehicle were included in the EFD 2025 budget.
I make the motion to purchase the vehicle.
Okay?
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Be resolved that the Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes the purchase of 16 new email licenses from Onyx with eastchesternyfd.gov domain name. The cost would be $162 per year per email, or an additional $2,592 per year. Second?
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Okay.
And the WISE program,
one.
if you want to authorize me to,
Yes, the internship.
that one might have been on the agenda.
It is
Yeah,
on
this
the
one
agenda,
is,
yeah.
yes.
It's number 7.
Those were.
Be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners authorizes Chief Tween to participate in the internship and WISE programs for Eastchester High School, Bronxville High School, and Tuckahoe High School for high school seniors in 2025, and to implement that program in 2025 with a caveat for up to 6 students, and that behavior is expected following Eastchester Fire District policies.
So moved.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you, Commissioners.
You're welcome. And a donation check, be it resolved that the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners accepts donations from Philip and Mary Ann Koutzis for $50. The donation was made without specifications or conditions and will be deposited into the general fund.
So moved.
Second.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye,
Motion carried.
and thank you for your donation. Okay, the next meeting of the Eastchester Board of Fire Commissioners will be held March 13th, 2025, at Eastchester Town Hall. Comments from Local 916?
People want to discuss the
Oh, the CNG.
CNG?
For the option she gave you for option 2?
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Did we pass this one, the budget transfer?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did that. I must have missed out.
All right, going back to option 2, move labor-only work to bond.
Well, we should have a discussion for the public, so our attorney from C&G is moving to a new firm, and we have decided whether or not we want to stay with Angelo, our attorney Catalano, or, leave, or stay with everything with C&G, so I'd like to discuss the fact that we'd like to, I think, keep Angelo for our labor negotiations, and remain for now with C&G for disability and, 207A?
Non-labor.
Non-labor
Yeah,
issues, right,
because
whatever
we're
that-
going to stay with them for contracts and 207A stuff.
And whether or not we move everything to Angelo at a later point in time, but for right now, I'd like to keep it split that way, and if that's what the board agrees on, we can move forward with that. Yeah, we need to let them know by what, this Friday? We need them by,
Well, they had wanted to know.
Last week,
but
yeah.
we didn't have a meeting scheduled, so.
Okay.
But I believe Monday is Angelo's first official day
Right.
at Bond.
okay.
All right, so then, now I can make the motion. Motion to retain Bond, Shenanek and King, PLLC, 22 Corporate Woods Boulevard, Albany, New York, zip 12211, as Labor Counsel for the Eastchester Fire District until December 31st, 2025. Coughlin and Gerhardt LLP will continue to act as Fire District Counsel for all non-labor matters. The board authorizes Chief Tween and the treasurer to complete and sign any necessary paperwork to facilitate the transition of records between council.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I'll call the roll. Commissioner Yankowski.
Aye.
Commissioner Lori.
Aye.
Commissioner Carlo.
Aye.
Commissioner Ranalone.
Aye,
Motion carried.
okay. Now are we,
Well, our next meeting, we know is March 13th, our next meeting, and then we're up to Local 916. Lieutenant?
go ahead.
Thank you all. Joe Costanzo, President, Local 916. I'm just hoping to clear up some confusion, definitely on our end. We know that the budget passed for over 14% last year for this year, in anticipation that we would get an extra firefighter position on Engine 31 in the north end. With conversations we've had with board members, it seemed that once this last class got out of the academy, which was a few weeks ago, and they got off days and into shift, that position would be funded fully for the rest of the year. It seems so far it hasn't happened, so I'm just hoping to get some clarification on when the board hopes to fill that spot going forward.
As soon as possible. I wish I could say tomorrow, but I don't know what the current situation is as far as sickness, vacations, and, anything else. I assume they're training, that they're pretty much done with their training straight days now?
They're done, right, Chief?
Yeah, they're on an engine with the lieutenant, so, the lieutenants will shadow them for a few months, and, once they get a few fires or calls under their belts, then they can work in an outhouse on another engine or something. But as far as the staffing goes, my understanding was we were going to implement it the same way we did with the firefighters on Engine 27, that we were going to hire them, have them go through the academy, and then once they graduate the academy, which will be in July, we would start filling that position.
Okay.
And that's all that was budgeted for. That's how it
We were just trying to clear up the confusion because we heard a different message from the board, and then obviously the chief and Jamie had the other opinion. So we're just trying to figure out where, if we have a date, is it definitely going to be July? Is it going to be in the next month? When is it going to be?
Well, as you're well aware, we did hire 5 firefighters.
Yes, thank you.
In the process of
And
getting them onboarded.
so, once they're done with the academy, I'm sure that it'll be happening at that point.
Solid maybe.
No, when they get out of the academy in July, then we'll start, and they do their 1 week of orientation, then when they get assigned, we'll have a third person or a second firefighter on engine
Right.
31.
All right.
So
Definitely.
hopefully all 5 of them,
Definitely.
Yeah, hopefully nobody drops out.
All right.
that's what was budgeted for,
Okay.
so,
All right. Yeah, we were just trying to clear up that confusion because we got mixed
okay,
messages. So that's all. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, comments from the public,
Gary, anything?
comments from the commissioners.
I have nothing.
Chief, you mentioned in your report, the fire hydrants being blocked and all that. It just irks me, all right, the village was off yesterday, so they didn't do recyclables. But people are blocking these fire hydrants. There's a fire hydrant on the corner of Wallace Street and Maynard Street. The residents put their recyclables out. You could not even see that fire hydrant. So that was all day yesterday and until the time they picked it up today. And I had mentioned this once before, and I remember, I can't remember who it was, but I had called the captain, and he sent Engine 27 out there. They had moved the stuff away. They had all their trash piled on it. But this past few times that I've seen it, I mean, you can't even see that hydrant. Now, is there any way that whoever's doing that, or the residents in front of that house, question them if they're doing that? Because there's gonna be a problem there soon. I promise you that, because that fire hydrant is always covered. 2 weeks ago, there was a picture screen, one of the TVs was up against it with a garbage can. I got out of my truck and moved the TV and put the garbage can over on the side. Like you say, you saw what happened in New York. It was a real tragic incident. That something's gonna happen in this town, because I've mentioned it a dozen times with the bags of leaves that go in front of the hydrants. Even gardeners bury the hydrant over there on Jackson Avenue. Chief Yazzo went out there to make them move it, and he had the town come clean it. Can't we enforce the police station, the police
Well,
department?
so it would be a combination, like if it's a vehicle, the police department would get involved. I think it would be a building department issue, because we don't have the authority to issue summonses.
No, I understand
We have to
that.
go with the building department.
So if I was to see that, again, call the building department, and then maybe he would have the authority to call the police department?
You could call the captain,
Yeah.
and then, let him know, and, or me, and we'll, have fire prevention go down there if it's during office hours, and, we can have, like you said, we can have an engine stop by and move the stuff away from the hydrant.
We keep calling the captain to make an engine go there. That's a waste of time too, because God forbid you get a fire, and they're over there cleaning a fire hydrant out, and then we get an alarm.
Yeah, no, I understand. We would work with our fire prevention bureau and the building department, and, the building department can issue summonses. We don't have any
Yeah,
sort of.
no, I know. Then by the time you call the fire prevention, the DPW is picking
Right,
the stuff
right,
up
right.
again. So then you can't blame anybody, because there's nothing in front of the hydrant. But like I
It could be
said,
documented. You can take pictures and, to
Okay.
show that it's a repeated issue and
because
condition.
like I said, the DPW was off in Tuckahoe yesterday, so.
Right, right.
All that stuff was there for 2 days, piled right, I mean, you couldn't even see the hydrant.
I know, and the snow plows too is a problem, because they push it out of the driveway and they
Yep.
push it right up against the hydrant. Not the town plows,
No,
but
no.
the
the
private,
Gardeners who.
whoever's plowing, with a pickup truck or a
Don't
Jeep or
these people have
something.
common sense?
that's the only place where there's no snow, so they, they decide that's a good place to put the snow. And then we have to go out and dig them out, after a big snowstorm. Our guys are out there, for 4 or 5 hours a day, shoveling out the hydrants.
Chief, are you aware of any possible town ordinance about blocking hydrants?
Again, if it's from a vehicle or something, obviously, you're not allowed to park within 15 feet on either side of the fire hydrant. As far as the building department, I would have to touch base with fire prevention. I'm sure they're not supposed to obstruct it. I'm sure there's some sort of regulations about that, so we can work with fire prevention, who will work with the building department if it's a chronic problem, to try to get the property owner or the
And
tenant
then-
to stop doing it.
And if it is a continuous problem, and then there is an incident,
Yeah.
they're gonna call you, say, don't your men clean the hydrants out? I know it's not their job to do
Right,
that.
right.
But they're gonna come jumping on you.
Right, but again, it's like, there's like 1,200 hydrants throughout the district, so if we don't know about it, we can't do anything.
No,
So-
the only way you're gonna know about it, in the event of a
People call
fire,
us.
and it's blocked, then they're gonna
Right.
say, call the fire department, tell them about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
and we have houses that put bushes right up against
Yep.
it, and sometimes you can hardly see the hydrant
Yep.
for the bushes,
if they wanna block it from their,
We have to tell
their
them,
house.
we have to tell them that they have to trim the bushes away from the hydrants so that we can access them.
Well, I hope the people will get aware of this, because there's gonna be a problem someday here. I mean it. I dread when leaf season comes, because gardeners have no conception of it, believe me. I mentioned to a few of them, but I don't know if it's the boss or the men that do it, but even so, the boss should be supervising them, or if they have a supervisor on the truck.
Unfortunately, until something happens,
Exactly.
the way people think, oh, I haven't used that hydrant in 50 years, I'm never going to need it.
So just put it over there.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry to linger on this,
No, no.
Commissioner, but it's the same thing, and it just aggravates me. Like I said, last week, well, last Wednesday, when it was recyclable, when I saw a television and a garbage can on top of, I had to stop my vehicle and get out and move it.
All right, anything else? All right, my activity report for the month, on January 20th, along with the chief and assistant chief, attended the annual Martin Luther King Jr. breakfast at the Reformed Church in Bronxville. On January 24th, along with the chief, assistant chief, Commissioner Laurie, and local 916 members, attended the probationary firefighter graduation ceremony at Iona University in Bronxville. On January 27th, along with the chief and local 916 members, attended Mass and breakfast given by Immaculate Conception Church for first responders. On February 6th, along with other board members and the chief and assistant chief, interviewed 5 candidates from the current civil service list. And on February 10th, along with the other board members, the chief and assistant chief, interviewed 4 more candidates from this current civil service list. And that's the end of my activities. Thank you.
Commissioner Arnold, just one thing I want to say. I know that nobody's here to hear it, but I just want to say thank you to the Scarsdale Ambulance Corps on the 24th after that graduation. I went back to work, I slipped on rock salt, and so be it. They had to pick me up and bring me to the White Plains Hospital. So I just want to say my comments, to thank you for their services. They did a good job. They're as good as our ambulance corps.
Okay. Anything else? Okay, a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Second?
Have a good night.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.